Mike Bohn of USA Today Sports here in Toronto with UFC middleweight contender, actor extraordinaire, Fox Sports analyst. Am I missing any titles here?
I don't know. I think you nailed it.
All right, perfect. Well, we know why you're up here. You kind of released a few weeks ago that you're going to be having a role in the new XXX movie with Vin Diesel and everything. Yep. Just talk a little bit about that. I know you're kind of in the middle of filming, but what can you share with us about what you've experienced so far doing that?
Yeah, so obviously, first and foremost, my attention is on my fighting. But I've been trying to chip away on an acting career for a number of years now. And, you know, it's a tough business, but I'm doing okay. I'm making some kind of traction, getting a few roles here and there. And I went for an audition a few weeks ago, well, last month. And, yeah, I was successful. I got the part. And here I am in Toronto. Been here for, I don't know, around 5 weeks now, or 4.5 weeks, something like that. As you say, it's Vin Diesel. It's the new XXX movie. It's got a fantastic cast: Donnie Yen, Tony Jaa, to name but a few. You know, of course, Samuel L. Jackson, Vin Diesel. The list goes on. A couple of other surprises in there as well that I can't mention. But I'm having a great time. A fantastic time. It's a huge production. The director, the cast, the crew. Everybody's fantastic, and I'm getting to, use my martial arts training that I've had over the years to make it look good on camera. So, yeah, very happy.
Yeah, and I know you said you're going to have a small part in the Twin Peaks series as well, but more about this one. Would you say the part in XXX is this one of the bigger acting roles you've had so far, like in terms of your part in the movie?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I've never been a part of a production this big, you know. I mean, the things I've done in the past, I've done some decent roles, but this is by far the biggest thing I've been a part of. My character is a pivotal character in the movie. I don't really want to destroy the plot, and I might even get sued if I do. So, but there's two teams trying to achieve the same thing, and I'm on one of the teams. I'm a bad guy, if you will, typical, English bad guy. But yeah, I'm a bad guy, but I have a good role. As I say, a lot of ass kicking, a lot of blowing things up, a lot of guns, a lot of action, and a great time.
That's awesome. And I know you said fighting is still first and foremost for you. So it's been a few months now since your win over Anderson Silva. What's next for you? Do you have any idea when you could be getting back in there, who the opponent can be, any of that stuff?
Yeah, so 2 days after my fight with Anderson, me and Dana White had a lengthy discussion on the phone. And obviously I told him, listen, I would love a title shot. I pitched my case, if you will. I told him I deserve it. And he said, let's see how it all plays out. By that, he means let's see what happens with this title fight that's coming up between Weidman and Rockhold, and see if the landscape makes sense, I guess, after that fight. I think it does. I think I deserve a shot. I've been around the UFC. This is actually my 11th year in the organization. I've been a perennial contender. I've won 4 out of my last 5. I hold a number of records in the UFC. I'm a recognizable face, and I'll beat either of those guys on my night. I know I will. And not just that, I'll sell the fight. I will get people interested in this. And I feel I deserve it. And Dana didn't disagree with anything that I said. So we'll see. A number of months have passed since that fight now. And the UFC haven't been in touch with a different fight. So, I'm hoping that is going to be my next fight. I really am. I know Yoel Romero was probably due to be next in line. But shame on him, he failed a steroids test and he's serving a suspension right now. So that takes him out of the running. Well, I just beat Anderson Silva. I know that had Anderson beaten me, he would have got the next title shot. So I think it's only fair that I get the same prize. So that's what I'm hoping for. Hopefully I'll hear something soon from the UFC. And right now I'm just trying to stay in shape, work on my strength, keep my weight down, and nail my role in XXX.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned Yoel Romero there. It seemed like he was out of the picture for a while, but then when his suspension got reduced, people kind of started talking about that again, or even talking about a fight with you. Would you be comfortable, if you had to fight again, would you be comfortable fighting him? I know you've kind of been there with people with histories of, drug test issues and everything, but in his case specifically, is that a fight you'd be open to?
Well, I mean, the thing is this, he can say whatever he likes, but he's actually serving a suspension, which he agreed to. Okay, he agreed to the suspension, so therefore he acknowledges that he did something wrong. And who knows how long he was taking this supplement for. You know, he could have been taking this for years, I'm assuming so. When you look at his physique, you know, he certainly has a splendid physique, and good for him. And it turns out that he was taking performance-enhancing drugs, regardless of the situation, regardless of whether or not he knew it. The fact states that he was taking performance-enhancing drugs. So I don't want to be his first fight back, because it's going to take a lot of time for the effects of that to completely get out of his system, for the unnatural muscle growth which he would have had because of those supplements. It's going to take a lot of time for that extra muscle to diminish. So really, I have no interest in fighting Yoel Romero yet. Of course, give it a year, give it 18 months, where he's been completely clean and he has passed all of his drug tests, which USADA implement, then I will happily fight him. But I don't think that's an unfair thing to say. I think what I'm saying is totally reasonable and logical.
Yeah, and I mean, the whole USADA thing, there's been a lot of middleweights kind of caught up in this thing. Lyoto Machida was the latest. What did you make of that whole thing? I know it was kind of weird because he had said before the fight that, you know, he thought he had this supplement in his system, and then the UFC pulled him. Do you think that situation was handled the right way, both from his side and from, you know, UFC/USADA?
The more and more things, the more time passes, the more I think that I'm the only middleweight that's competing cleanly. And I've done that throughout my entire career. I've taken God knows how many drug tests. I've passed every single one. There hasn't even been a hint of suspicion with any one of my tests. And we just see these legends falling left, right, and centre. Of course, Vitor Belfort has a long history. You got these guys on testosterone replacement therapy. Dan Henderson was the first one to do that. They said that they couldn't compete unless they were taking testosterone replacement therapy. But since that has been outlawed, here they are, still competing all these years later. You know, Lyoto Machida, he just failed his test. You know, I don't want to be the guy that goes on about this all the time. I know I sound like a broken record. I know people are probably sick of me hearing talk about it. You're asking me the questions, I'm giving you the answers. I forget what the question was because I went off on such a tangent there. What was the question?
I was just, do you think, you know, maybe Machida's side coming out and say that it was just that whole situation is handled as well, that they pulled a fight that was, you know, a co-main event on Fox, a big fight, just, you know, for the sake of, you know, making this USADA thing as effective as possible.
Sorry, pardon me, yeah. I don't want to kick Machida while he's down. I don't want to kick anyone while they're down. That's not how I get my satisfaction. I'm just trying to do myself and then look after my family in the best way that I know can. And I don't want to, you know, diminish Machida's reputation. But the fact of the matter is that he did fail a test, okay? And this revelation from Machida only came out when USADA came to his house. Now, of course, the skeptic in me says, well, they came to his house and he panicked because he knew he'd been taking something. He spoke with his manager and they concocted a plan. So they Googled a supplement which has this thing in it and then declared that they're taking that. That's a really good way to get around being caught. Okay, so I know USADA are yet to deal out their punishment, but I would say it would have to be the maximum sentence. It would have to be 2 years. So that, again, that's Machida out of the title equation. He was out of that anyway. So to answer your question, how are USADA handling it? I don't know. Let's see how they punish him. Yeah.
And as you mentioned, you know, you feel you're one of the only clean guys out there. Do you feel like the reputation, the amount of time you put into the UFC also, and, you know, the Anderson Silva win, the wins before that is what gives you that resume for the title shot over some of these other guys out there?
Yeah, listen, when I say I feel like I'm only one of those things, don't take those words too literally. Of course, there's many, many clean athletes competing in the UFC, and I know for a fact, you know, the guys, there's other guys in the top 10. That was just a nice line for me to say there. You know, as I said earlier, I feel I deserve this. Of course, I'm one of the longest tenured athletes in the UFC. I'm almost at the record for having the most fights in the UFC. I've got the most middleweight wins in the history of the organization. I've landed the most significant strikes in the history of the organization. People know who I am. I can sell a fight. I deliver each and every time. I bring excitement. I get the crowd invested. And I know I can compete with these guys. Add to that the fact I've won 4 out of my last 5. The only loss coming to the current champion under mitigating circumstances where he headbutted me and blood was causing a factor with my vision. And then on top of that, you know, I just beat Anderson Silva. You put all these things together, you know, come on, there's a storyline there. I'm one of the only clean guys in the company. I've never failed a test. A lot of these legends and so-called pioneers are failing tests left, right, and centre. As I said a moment ago, you put all these things together, I think that states a very good case for my long overdue title shot.
Perfect. And last thing on that front, that fight is UFC 199. It's taking place kind of in your hometown over there in LA. I'm assuming you'll be in attendance and you'll be watching that fight very closely.
I would love to be in attendance, and my son would love to be in attendance because he said, obviously, Dad, are we going to go to that fight? Unfortunately, I'm working. Well, not unfortunately, I'm very happy to be working for Fox, so I won't be in attendance, but I will be paying very close attention, of course, and I'll be giving my 2 cents on Fox Sports 1.
And you'll be at the desk, and I'm sure you'll be able to greet the winner of that fight face-to-face and deliver your message then, right?
Absolutely, 100%. Well, when have I ever disappointed in throwing myself into the conversation?
Perfect. Thank you so much for the time, Michael. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.